Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Linda Anderson, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Corporal Daniel Hodson. Today we remember and commemorate the 110th Battle at Fromelles. On the 19th of July 1916, the last of the Australians to arrive in France from Egypt became the first to take part in a major operation when the 5th Australian Division joined the 61st British Division in an attack on German positions near Fromelles. A feint designed to draw German reserves away from the Battle of the Somme to the south, the operation was conducted in broad daylight under direct observation and heavy machine gun fire. It was a disaster. In less than 24 hours, 5,533 Australians became casualties. Some 2,000 of those were dead. The 61st Division, having contributed about a third of the attacking force, suffered over 1,500 casualties. Realising the significance of Fromelles to our young nation, Charles Bean returned to walk over the ground on the day of the armistice to think, reflect and record before the battlefield returned to peace. He found the old no man's land simply full of our dead. The skulls and bones and torn uniforms were lying about everywhere. He described Fromelles as one of the bravest and most hopeless assaults ever undertaken by the AIF. This evening we commemorate all those whose names are listed here on the Roll of Honour and the survivors who returned home. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Edgar Briton Penaluna. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St Oliver Plunkett School, visiting from Cannon Hill, Queensland. Australia's Federation Guard is a tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catapult party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier.
Catapult Party, rest on!
If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Catapult Party, attention! Catapult Party, present! Arms!
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Catapult Party, shoulder! Arms! Catapult Party, order! Arms!
Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who gave their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Edgar Briton Penaluna. Edgar Penaluna was born on the 24th of August, 1892, in Eaglehawk, Victoria. He was one of 9 children born to William Henry Penaluna, a miner, and his wife, Mary Ellen. Edgar received his education at California Gully School and, as a young adult, was an active member of the local independent Order of Rechabites temperance movement. When the First World War broke out in 1914, Edgar was working as a grocer for a local store. Edgar Penaluna enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 6th of July, 1915. He was assigned to the 8th Reinforcement of the 21st Infantry Battalion with the rank of private and began training in Australia. On final leave, he was farewelled by his community at a social evening where he was given a wallet and a sleeping bag from his employer, colleagues, and friends. Private Penaluna then travelled to Melbourne and embarked on the troop ship Demosthenes on the 29th of December 1915. In Egypt, he joined a mix of new recruits and veterans from the recently abandoned Gallipoli campaign. In February 1916, he was transferred to the newly formed 60th Battalion during a period of expansion in the AIF. He trained with them until the 18th of June, when he embarked for the Western Front with his new unit. In France, they were immediately sent north to the French and Belgian border, which had been the site of bitter fighting. Now comparatively quiet, this area of the front became known as the nursery sector, where new troops such as Backhouse were introduced to life in the trenches. After spending only a few days in the front lines, Penaluna's unit was called into action near the village of Fromelles. It was here that he would take part in his first and last major action of the war. The battle was intended as a feint to prevent German reserves from moving south to take part in the Battle of the Somme. Ordered to attack strongly fortified enemy positions near the Aubert Ridge, the Allied advance was preceded at night by a 7-hour bombardment. It was designed to destroy the German front line and allow the troops to take their objectives largely unopposed. When the battle began in broad daylight, advancing units quickly realised that the artillery had been almost useless and had warned the enemy of an impending attack. As they jumped the parapet, Allied troops were quickly cut down in waves by murderous machine gun and artillery fire from German troops who had taken cover during the earlier bombardment. Though some men made it to their objective, they were quickly forced to withdraw and were again caught under heavy fire during their retreat. By the time the battle was called off, the 5th Division alone had suffered over 5,500 casualties in an attack which has been remembered as the worst 24 hours in Australia's military history. Among the casualties was Private Edgar Penaluna, killed in action during his unit's attack at Fromelles. Following his death, one of his comrades, Private Jack Yarrow, wrote to Penaluna's mother. He said, "I must tell you that to my mind, this charge was a reckless waste of life. The Germans turned such a hail of fire on us that it would be a miracle if any of us got out of it alive. Those that were not shot laid down until it was dark and then crawled back. As you see, I was one of the lucky ones, but I am sorry to say that Edgar, along with hundreds of brave lads, was killed. I would ask you not to break your heart at the loss of your son. I'm sure that when you have lived your life, you'll meet your son above, for I assure you that the souls of heroes never die. And he proved himself a hero in that charge. Edgar Penaluna's final resting place was never found. Today, he is commemorated on the VC Corner Australian Memorial in France. He was 23 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Edgar Briton Penaluna, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Catapult party, preserved, arms. Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Catapult party, outwards, turn. Catapult party, quick, march.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.